Senator Braun.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As an entrepreneur and business owner, probably most fresh off the street here in the Senate, this is an interesting area to me. I'm also came from the world of economics so long ago. Talk about a lot of that stuff, including our budget that is now the worst it's ever been in the history of our country, $1.5 trillion a year, gives a lot of fuel for non-sovereign currencies and some of the stuff that anybody would be worried about, where we've been the reserve currency for so long due to some of the predictability when we used to balance our budgets, when we used to not have inflation. I won't get into that. It would take up too much time. I've got a question about the new technology. I'll start with Ms. Boring. When it comes to Elon Musk, who loves the idea of all of this, but quit accepting cryptocurrency due to the environmental impact. Is there something down the road that would, through economy of scale, make the energy use less, for all the benefits that it looks like it may give us someday, because that's going to be an increasingly significant issue. What is your take on that? And do you believe Elon Musk had something there in citing how energy intensive and expensive it is to establish blockchain?
Yeah, it's been thank you for the question. It's been interesting to see Elon Musk's stance of digital assets. While they decided to stop accepting certain digital assets, they still own it and it still sits on Tesla's balance sheet. So I think actions speak as a part of the approach as well. Specific to energy concerns, we have seen a number of groups and people and members of Congress express concerns about the energy uses of certain digital assets, specifically those that use proof of work. The point that I made earlier is what's important about what we're seeing in the Bitcoin mining industry and other proof of work blockchains is that this industry is leading the transition to renewables. We represent companies that are publicly traded and listed here in the United States that are partnered with renewable plants like solar and wind throughout the US. These partnerships between the renewable industry and the Bitcoin mining industry is bringing new investments and innovation into renewables. And that needs to be an incredibly important part of the conversation as we look at policy responses to this concern.
So I think when you look at what a small percentage it is currently of transactions, and with the increasing emphasis on maybe the cleanest, least expensive fuel, I think down the road, hopefully, both of those converge in the right direction. I think there's going to be plenty of demand for something in addition to sovereign currencies that look a little shaky and risky for what the dependability was there in the past. I got a question for Mr. Werbach. When it comes to this emerging technology, kind of analogous to the internet, and we didn't know where that was going to go, and look where it has come. Now its biggest susceptibility is from cyber thieves. And I think many would wonder about using blockchain and cryptocurrencies, when it's in that realm of, can it be hacked? Is it something that can give you peace of mind and security for all the reasons, I've mentioned already? How do you draw a comparison between this and the internet in terms of concerns, fledgling industry, and then what about its long-term safety and security when it's based upon a technology that many of us don't know much about?
Senator, it's a very important question. And we forget that back in the 1990s, people said, how would you buy something on the internet? You mean you're going to type in your credit card number to a computer and it's going to go off somewhere in the ether and you're going to believe that someone's not going to steal your credit card? Americans were worried about e-commerce for exactly that reason, and to some extent for good reason. What happened? Part of what happened was technology evolved. There were various technical mechanisms to ensure that your credit card is protected. Part of it is regulation, that there's oversight of the credit card industry. So if, in fact, your credit card is stolen, your entire balance is not at risk. It's capped by the issuers. And part of it had to do with regulation and oversight of these industries as a consumer protection matter. So ultimately, people got confident. I focus on the idea of trust. That's what's in the title of my book. And that's the similarity. People learned to trust the internet as they had good experiences with it. And the same thing is possible here. The ironic thing is that the blockchain technology itself is incredibly secure. It's cryptographically secured. Bitcoin is $1 trillion at its peak in assets, and no one has successfully been able to hack that ledger because it's so secure based on the underlying cryptographic structures. The problem, though, is that you holding keys at the edge of the network, you have to secure your own keys. You can't rely on the bank or the intermediary providing all that security. And that is what has opened up the opportunity for all these hacks. So again, we need to move forward with industry working and identifying technologies and best practices, as well as having oversight and regulatory mechanisms to ensure that there are basic standards.
Thank you. Interesting new horizons, I'd say.